the Kimmel Township Supervisors meeting to order. It's always before 6 p.m. Let's start by pledge of allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start out with our visitors, people here. Bonnie, you got anything? Nothing. Okay. Jimmy McDonald. Nothing. Jimmy Garnett.
Yeah, I have two things I want to bring up. First thing I want to ask is consideration for a donation for the Bedford Honor Guard. We used to give a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And then the second request is I'd like to have an executive session with the three supervisors and solicitor after the meeting.
We can't have just ad hoc executive sessions. There's only a limited number of subjects where an executive session can be held. For instance, pending or impending litigation, personnel, collective bargaining agreements, negotiation up to the point of making a deal on property, those kinds of things. But other subjects are generally have to be kept in the public under the Sunshine Law. So it's no offense to you, it's just that's what the legislature calls for, okay?
Okay, we'll give you that.
Hello, this is Kimmel Township. Sorry I missed your call. If you would please leave your name.
They didn't want to talk to me anyway.
But we have, I remember we made a donation a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we did.
About 2 years ago, I think.
2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years ago. Do we have any record of what that was?
It was
at that time?
$150.
How much was it, Jimmy?
150.
150.
It is used for boots and uniforms. Nothing, nobody's paid or nothing for gas.
Okay.
It's for the uniforms for the to do the ceremonies for the
Yeah.
veterans.
It's something we use for. Do we want to take care of that now?
If you, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll make a motion that we do the same as we did before.
I'll second that. How do you guys vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You will.
To Bedford Honor Guard.
You got that, Kathy? Dick Cox? No. Good. Jack Perkins?
Yeah, I need to find out what's going on down with my septic system. Back about a year and 8 months ago, in the meeting, Dean Shore sent a letter to Brad Allison, and it stated that as long as the supervisors was watch it, I watch it, we would open it up, and if there's any kind of a problem, we'd have to shut back up. And then we'd have to do whatever it said to do, what Dean said to do. But I've been watching it, Les has been watching it, Bobby's been watching it. There's never been a problem there with it. But I was supposed to have a letter drawn up back at that time. And I have never received that letter.
What you're talking about, Jack, is there was a suggestion about you saying that you would indemnify the township with respect to this problem. And my understanding is that that system down there has a problem that has not been fully repaired.
No.
There's been a recent letter, you're certainly aware of this, through Dean Shore, let me finish.
Okay.
There's been a recent letter to indicate that the problem has not been fully resolved. And I'm not going to advise Kimmel Township, or any township, when there's an issue under the Sewage Facilities Act, to go ahead and say that it's okay to hook a system back on that has a problem if you agree to indemnify, defend, and hold them harmless. Because that's no protection for this township going forward in time, absent a bond, and I have no idea what type of a bond would be necessary to protect. The problem is, if in fact there is some issue with it, and that's not for me personally to determine, that's for the sanitary court. But if there's in fact an issue with it, the reason why you want to resolve it at the current time is so that there is not infiltration later on into somebody else's property, particularly their wells or into the stream or somewhere downstream where there can be a problem. The township, and I'm not gonna advise these supervisors to take on a nightmare 10, 15, 20 years down the road when we find out that there's been leaching of sewer into people's well water.
Okay, now, in the letter that Dean had sent you and you brought it to the meeting, I have a copy of the letter. And he said, if I did open it up, I needed to have a letter wrote stating that I was totally responsible for it. And you brought it to the meeting. The supervisors, they agreed that they would watch it with me. And everything that I did down there, I did the way Dean Scholler had asked me to do. I put the ditch around that septic system just the way they asked me to do it. If there's anything there that's not right, then I would say Dean Scholler didn't tell me right, because I put that ditch around there exactly the way I was supposed to put it.
Well, the way I understand that is this, okay? First and foremost, there was
That's in 2011 they did.
First and foremost, there was a suggestion that the township should permit you to reconnect to the system, okay? So then supervisors made a motion to do that. As soon as I found out that there was an issue with the system, I told them, and they made a motion the very next meeting to rescind that motion to hook back on,
2011.
because Dean said, no, you put the township at risk with a faulty system. So since that time, now I know certain measures have been taken, but the question is whether or not the system has been fully remedied.
We fully remedied it because it's set right now for a year and 8 months.
I
And
understand
have
that.
not put anything out. Now, the only thing that wasn't, I have never received my letter stating that.
I'm not going to advise the township, Jack, to
Well,
set up an
they had already
indemnification
been
agreement.
advised.
No, they hadn't been advised by me as the solicitor of the township
Well,
to do it.
back in 2011,
Yeah.
you're talking about that being rescinded.
Absolutely.
Mine was never rescinded in 2012. You can pull out the paperwork.
You can look at the paperwork. It was rescinded the very next
It was
meeting.
rescinded in 11, in
That's in
2000.
2011. We're talking 2012 here.
In 2012,
No.
I'm not aware that you were...
It was in the minutes that you was asked to issue an indemnification agreement, but you
Yes.
never did it, Brad. You
Yeah,
advised
that's right.
against
I
it.
advised against the indemnification.
Because nothing was ever brought before us.
But
Exactly right.
Les has been watching it ever since.
I understand.
Bobby has been watching.
Understand
There's
that.
no kind of a problem there.
But the issue, as I understand it, Jack, is this, okay?
Evidently, you're going by what Dean said. Now, Dean on the phone told me, he said, Jack, he said, if you was to sign a letter stating that you would be totally responsible, then I would say, we could probably go ahead. I said, well, I did that a year and 8 months ago. I said, I'm not holding anybody responsible.
I understand that, but here's the problem. It's not so much you not wanting to hold anybody responsible. You may be in good faith saying, look, if there is an issue, I'm going to take care of it. But the problem is, what if your funds are insufficient to take care of a problem that escalates? The exposure to the township is that if you don't have the funds or we don't have the money set back to take care of the problem, then it potentially sets them up for an issue of liability. Whether they are or whether they're not liable would be dependent upon whether there are immunities set forth for them under the Political Subdivision Torts Claims Act and other acts that are available that give sometimes immunity to municipalities. So the reason why I don't want to advise is because I don't want these folks to have a problem, okay? I'd like a clear answer is the thing fixed or is it not fixed?
It is fixed.
Okay, but when you
They
say,
know it's
but when
fixed.
you say that it's fixed,
But I did what Dean Scholler told me to do.
That's the last letter I received.
right? Yeah.
I did what Dean Scholler told
Well,
me to do. And
here's what it says, okay?
a year and 8 months later, I get a paper stating that it may not be fixed. Now, I also know that if you look at that system there compared to a lot of systems around it in the township, it's flying high above a lot of them. Kind of bad one.
I don't know, there may be other systems
Well,
that have problems, okay? But here's the thing, your system had an identified problem.
And I took care of that
Well,
identified
to-
problem, but
well,
you
to
will
the-
not
No, to the extent that it says, here, he set it forth in a July 15, 2014 letter to you. It says,
Right.
on 8/17/10, you were issued a repair permit to replace the existing septic bed to the previously existing size. 2 septic tanks were also added to the system for the required 3,000 gallon capacity. Okay?
Okay.
And they indicate that this repair was not recommended by the BCTBSA. I don't know what that is, Jack. Okay? We felt that the existing soils would not support the sewage flows being produced by the apartment building. It must be the Bedford Sanitary Corp, those letters.
That's
okay?
what it is.
All right. And then it says, you and the supervisor specifically asked for the opportunity for you to try a repair kit to see if the system malfunction could be fixed. On February 21, 2011, we did a dye test on the system. On 2/24/11, dye was seen in the ditch below the system off of the township alley. You were contacted about the malfunction, and you would be required to use the existing septic tanks as holding tanks to abate the malfunction. And then it says on 3/2/2011, you were issued a permit to use the existing tanks as a temporary repair until suitable testing and installation of a new system was completed, or you could use holding tanks as a permanent repair as long as the tankage was brought up to the required 4,800 gallon total specifications. All right, now at the current time, are the tanks at the 3,000 gallon capacity, or have you in fact installed 4,800 gallon capacity?
I have not, because during this, now you're talking 2011, 2012, I put a ditch the whole way around the system.
Yeah,
Les knows, Bobby
I
knows,
understand that, but the
and
fact
that was done because that's the way Dean Schuler wanted it done.
okay, well, there was a ditch put around it, okay? My understanding is this. It has not had the new tank put in, okay?
Because I was let go in that, and I put that ditch in to
Okay.
see if we could control it.
Okay, and so then, as I understand it from Dean, there is a possibility that there can be testing in the soil below to see whether or not there's any of this effluent down in the gravel and or the surrounding part of the system, okay?
And I asked him that, I said, will you do this test just like you do everybody else's?
What-
No, everybody else's.
Yeah.
He should go to my apartment there, he should put the dye in, he should run water, he should get down to where the first opening is down there and check if there's any problem. Okay. No, he won't do that. He wants me to dig my system back up. Now
He wants to probe where the gravel's at.
He wants
He
what?
wants to probe where the gravel's at, because there's a potential, and he doesn't know until he probes it, as to whether or not some of that effluent has in fact drained out of the system and is now down in the soil.
How would he probe this?
You're
He
gonna have
told me
to
he was
ask
gonna
him.
dig it up.
Well, I mean, apparently you stick something in the ground and you get some type of a sample. I have never personally done that because I don't represent the sanitary corp. I only represent the township. The sanitary corp is appointed as a representative of the township for sewer-related issues, okay? So there are things that Dean Schuler and Jeff and the people that work there do day in and day out that I have no idea about because I've never tested a system, okay? So to me, to see whether or not there's a malfunction, it would be best to have a test on record to say, look, give Jack the benefit of the doubt. If there's no effluent in
He's not
this,
giving me the benefit of the doubt, or he already made me do what he said he was going, what I was gonna do. I did it, opened it back up, and then a year and 8 months later, he comes back and he says, hey, I never got no paper. He said, matter of fact,
according to the letter, Jack, here's the problem, okay? All right, here's the problem in terms of why we're between a rock and a hard place. Because he recommended that there be a new tank installed of 4,800 gallon capacity.
what's the middle
And
say?
to date, that's exactly what it says. I just read it. On 3/2/11, you were issued a permit to use the existing
All right,
septic.
there you are, a
That's
year
and was
earlier.
brought up to the required 4,800 gallon total specification.
A year earlier, you're talking about something that he, in
I'm
2012, read that letter in 2012.
He's giving you a notice of violation dated July 15 of 2014, and he includes that as part of the notice of
But he
violation
also-
because the tank has not been installed.
But why is he not taking the 2012?
I have no, in
Well, you
2012,
brought that letter to the meeting. That's the only way I could have got the letter.
what do you mean? You got this letter from Dean Schuler. Don't tell me you
I
did
got
this from the
that other,
supervisors.
this letter, right here.
addressed to you, Jack. Right there it is. You're telling us that you never got this letter?
I got the letter. I'm not saying I didn't get the letter. I'm saying 2012.
Absolutely. And
2012.
I would not advise this township or any township to indemnify, defend, and agree to hold you harmless for a sewer problem that needs addressed.
Now,
I am not in control of that issue.
Read there in the middle. What
I'm not going to advise this township to do is to take responsibility.
I understand.
One meeting we
There,
have
will you
16
read that there?
It's the same thing that he had said.
There in the middle.
It's the same thing that
Okay, what does it say there in the middle?
Oh, I understand what it says, but the problem is, I'm not going to advise this township to agree to indemnify, defend, and hold you harmless, or to let you do that. The reason is because either the problem can be solved or it can't, okay? If it can be solved, hey, and there's no malfunction, that's great, all right? But if there is a malfunction, it needs addressed.
But if there's a malfunction, why did you tell me to put that around there and do that there?
Jack, I can't answer all that because the sanitary corp is in charge of the sewer installation. I personally am not. Okay, I do not do that every day. I'm an attorney. I don't go and inspect people's septic systems. I'm not digging around in the people's yards here in Kimmel Township. But I have to advise the township under the law. And what I know the Sewage Facilities Act says is if somebody has a malfunctioning system, it has to be addressed. If yours isn't malfunctioning, that's great, okay? It should be easy
Mine has
enough.
been addressed 3 different times.
Well, according to this letter, he wanted a new 4,800 gallon tank put in. And that tank, as we sit here today, has not been put in.
I haven't put it in because at that time, I dug that ditch by his specifications. I dug the ditch, put it around there, and went the whole way around.
Well,
And that's,
the
yes,
concern,
that stopped all the water coming from the,
maybe it did, and I hope that it did, okay?
Well,
But
if
the
it-
fact of the matter is that what I understand is there's potential for effluent to be down in the area of the soil or the shale, potentially below this system, okay? Whether there is or not, I couldn't tell you because I don't know how to test that. That's not something I know how to do. But what I don't want to have the township do, if it's an easy enough thing that you can test it and say, hey guys, look,
I wanted to test it. I asked him, I said, do the test like you do everybody else's test.
so
Go to my
do you have a
apartment.
problem with that area being probed?
I shouldn't have to do that. Why should I have to do something that no one else in the
Wait,
township has
you
ever
keep
done?
saying nobody else is doing. Every person who has a sewage system in this township is subject to the Sewage Facilities Act. So it isn't just you. Everybody who has a system is subject to that.
And if it comes up to the surface, you're supposed to have it dye
That's right.
tested,
That's
and
right.
that's what they take care
That's
of.
exactly right. Okay, but what he had already said was because this repair hadn't addressed the problem, there was supposed to be a new tank in. And when that new tank wasn't put in, what your statement was is, let's be able to dig a trench to see if we can get this excess water out of there. Remember that?
That's 2011 you're talking about, and they come back and it's okayed in 2012.
But why, if he okayed it in 2012,
And then he let it go for a year and 8 months.
then why
You
do we
think.
get a July 15,
Why do you
2014
think?
letter? Why?
Because
I'm not in charge of it. I didn't ask him to send
I
the
know,
letter.
Lang came by and I was sitting at this apartment one day. It wasn't 5 minutes later that I seen him over at the corner, and I told Bobby them, I said, he's there wondering why I haven't had that pumped out. I said, I really should have had a paper, but I never got my paper. No, I don't. Should I have got a paper in a year and 8 months?
When you keep saying about never got a paper,
Well, I never got it. There was a,
do you keep in terms of when you get your tank pumped out?
yes.
Okay. Do you keep slips, you know, when so-and-so comes and does it for you? And I don't know who all does it. I think John Lang is one person,
I
but
do
might
that
be people in Kimmel.
mainly because
Okay.
I've had problems with it.
Okay, so that, you know, if you weren't keeping up with the pumping schedule, then they'd be on you about that. So they apparently haven't been on you about that because it's not referencing the
Well, I
July
know,
15th letter.
a year and 8 months, he's like you said.
That's right.
I didn't
But
even know
when
it was shut
you can
up.
understand that when I see this letter come, okay, and the township is given a copy of it, I've got a concern here because the question appears, is this addressed and should it be addressed?
See,
Okay?
Even at the end, he brings my family into it. Did you notice that?
Well, yeah, because here's what happened. You transferred your property onto your kids.
When did I transfer that?
You transferred it, one of the properties during the course of the litigation we had last time.
With the, up at
Yeah, up there at the road.
2010. And he comes out in 2014 and he says, hey, your kids was on there. What happened 4 years earlier? Evidently, he needs to pay me back for I paid.
Who's the current owner? Who's the owner of the property? When you signed the application, who was the owner of the property? Was it you or was it your kids?
From all indication, I can be the agent of those kids. I own it till I die.
Well, did you transfer it by deed to those kids? Then they own the title. That's what the deed is for.
Right, and should they have taken care of that back in 2009?
Well, here's the thing. I don't know when you transfer it because I'm not monitoring the deeds in every courthouse.
I did it in 2009.
Okay. So if there was an application filed for a repair, then apparently that was done in 2010. Is that right? Okay.
That was the first repair.
Okay, all right. So in that case, if you had transferred the property in 2009, then the kids should have applied for this permit, technically. You understand? They were the titled owner. You said you
But
transferred
why
it in
didn't
2009.
they pick that up then?
I have no idea.
In
I'm not doing the title
2014,
searches
all
for
of
these
a sudden,
properties. I'm
Brett,
not doing the title searches.
they picked it up.
All I want to see,
2014.
all I want to see is this. All I want to see is if your system is functioning properly, that's great, okay? Because this really is not a headache that we want to have to always address, whether it's you or anybody else. I don't want to see people's systems malfunctioning, and/or if one does, then let them take care of it and get it rectified and everybody move on, okay? Because
I personally think I had it rectified.
invariably it keeps coming back to me as the solicitor to say, hey, what do we do now, okay? And the only thing I can do is read the stuff, and it appears to me that this tank wasn't put in, or
It wasn't put in, Brad, and I'm not saying it was put in, and I'm not saying that they hadn't addressed that issue, but they addressed the issue of putting a ditch around, taking care of the situation.
All right, so what I understand here is this. If you put the tank in, it'll rectify the problem, and we won't have to worry whether there's a ditch or whether there's not a ditch.
Yeah, it'll rectify a problem and cost me $180 a month.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right, but here's the thing. You're also...
No, that's rectifying for everybody but me.
Well, no. You own, apparently your kids now by deed own the apartment complex out there, right? So you're renting out those spots each month, you're making a profit, that's a business, okay? So when you have a business, there's a cost of doing business, including keeping your valid sewer in place. Maybe it is, maybe it's all fine, okay? But I personally can't determine that. All I can do is at first glance look at this letter and think, well, if the tank wasn't put in, there must be a violation, because that's what he's saying in his letter, okay? And if there's not, if there's really not a need to go the extra step to put the tank in, if it really did help it, okay? Then if a test will show that there is no soil problem, then I would think the simplest thing is to have the probe done, put it on record, and then that way you can say, now look guys, here's the deal. You've been jumping at me and jumping at me and jumping at me. I let you test it by dye and I let you test it by the soil, and there's not a doggone problem.
I agreed that I would let him test with dye, like he does everybody
But
else.
not with the soil, right? And his concern is that with putting that flow around the system, it may have allowed it to go into where the gravel is. He can't say that it has or hasn't until it's tested. That's the only thing I know, because I don't know how to test the stuff. All I know is what Dean has indicated, okay? So that whether it was you or anybody else, I don't want to advise the township to allow you to, agree to indemnify, defend, and hold harmless, because we can't substantiate whether your assets or anybody else's will go on for infinitum to protect the township's interest. And it's not fair for the citizenry to have to keep paying taxes to put into the township's coffers for somebody's problem if the people have to address it by the law. If there's no problem, that's great, okay? If the problem's rectified, that's great. Then people ought to be out of your hair. If it's not rectified, then it's your duty to rectify it.
I thought it was rectified.
Well, I thought maybe there wasn't a problem until this July 15th letter.
See, all of a sudden, though, that letter is total harassment to me.
Well,
That's all it is. It's a total harassment. I told him, I said, you're just nothing but harassment.
Well, I think the course of circumstances here demonstrates two things. One is that there was an indication that a new tank ought to be put in back in 2011. And as of 3 years and so many months later, that still has not occurred.
No, and it was
Okay.
because of that ditch. Hey, he agreed to
Okay,
do that.
so
Let's
if
know,
the ditch,
he agreed
if the
that.
ditch helps it, then my position is, if the ditch helps it and you can show that there's no problem, then hey, allow the probe to take place. He puts it in the ground. If there's no problem, ball game's over, right?
Okay, let me ask you this. Can I go back and hit Dean's shoulder for what he has told me to do and it's now not work? He said, I don't know if it's working or not, but he has always, he said, I know why the township wanted to put that ditch in down there. That's for Jack Burke.
I cannot advise you whether you have a
No
claim
idea.
against the sanitary corps, okay? I don't represent their interests, but they're an agent of the township, a representative, so they're in charge of the sewer as directed by the township, okay? But ultimately, the township has a responsibility under the law to monitor this whole circumstance.
They did.
Well, and the fact of the matter is, when they get another letter dated July 15th, now we have to look back into what is the issue. And according to the letter, there is a notice of violation being issued, and now it's issued not just to you, but to everybody who's on the title. So, if
After
there's
4
a
years,
simple...
they find, see, that's why I know it's harassment.
If there ought to be, well, there ought to be a simple fix, Jack, and I think the simple fix is putting the holding tank in, all right? And it would fix your problem. But you don't want to do that because it's an expenditure of money.
Right.
And the township then's got to keep spending money to listen to this problem time in and time out.
Okay, what else did it say at the bottom there?
It says here at the end,
He
to
said
this
something
date.
else at the bottom.
Yeah, it says to this date, this is the last paragraph, you have not requested our office to do testing for a new septic system, therefore I must assume that you are trying to avoid the proper disposal of your septic effluent that is being generated by the apartment building located at 2386 Shellsburg Road in the village of Queen. That's what this says.
And it doesn't say anything about a small stream discharge system.
Hold on a second, I'll see if it says anything about that.
If it doesn't, it's a letter before that. He sent me 2 different letters, just bam, bam, and within 2 months, probably.
There's a definition of liquid waste and so forth out of Title 25, and it talks about this, the Clean Streams Law, okay? And then,
A clean stream discharge system?
no, it's not a system. It talks about what happens when you discharge stuff into the
This is what
stream.
he wanted me to test and put one of them in. If I didn't want to pay $180 a month.
I don't see anything in this letter that talks about
All right, do you have a letter that's right before that?
I
This is
personally
the
do
letter
not.
I've got.
I do not have the
would you No, I
May 8, 2014 letter.
In May. This was in May. Matter of fact, I came to township and I think I may have given a letter where he had sent me.
I don't remember the May 15th. This is the only letter I've got.
According to him, in this letter, it says, on May 8, 2014, I called to inquire about the fact that we had not received pump receipts in some time. That time you informed me that it had been about 1.5 years since you were given permission by the supervisors to reconnect to the drain field. This time you are in violation by disconnecting from the holding tanks. Okay, so when we see this letter, all I can presume is that there are potential issues here that have to be rectified, okay? And I personally don't know how to rectify them, other than either you put the new tank in, or they keep testing to make sure that there's not a problem. And if there's not, then perhaps there's not a need for the new tank. At least you can say to them, guys, I'll let you test it by dye, I'll let you dig in the
I said I would
ground.
leave them test by dye. If they do it like
Right,
everybody
that's right,
else's
but
system.
that-
Not digging my
Well,
system up
And
again.
according to the technical aspects of the law, as I read it, you're in technical violation right now because you don't have the tank put in of 4,800 gallon capacity, which will fix the problem.
And so, less than all them that for the last 1 year and 8 months, we've just been spinning our wheels.
Well, I
That's
guess.
what you're telling me.
No, what I'm saying
Well-
to you is this, according to Dean's letter, and this is my last pronouncement on it, you're in
According to
violation
Dean's
of the
letter.
law.
That's why I said, can I come back and hit Dean's shoulder for
I
the
can't
way he
advise
is
you, I
addressing
won't
this?
advise you on that.
Well,
You have to get independent counsel to address that.
I called Barry Satin this morning, and he was not able to take me till Wednesday.
Okay, now here's the thing. If you go to see Barry, understand this. I can't talk to you, and the guys can't talk to you at all about the issue because of the rule of ethics that says that if I know you're represented by somebody, I can't talk to that person's client behind their back. That's fine. You have the right to counsel. If you want to address it with Barry, go ahead. That's okay, okay? But what I'm telling you is, I'd have to address it with Barry then after you engage him as an attorney. That's all I'm saying, because I don't play behind other attorneys' backs, you understand?
Right.
So if you go to see Barry, get in with him,
Well, I have to go see Barry.
and you
because
can
I
take,
can't
and
get
you
it.
can take the documents with him and show him and explain your side of things, and that's fine, okay? And then perhaps Barry can look it through, and if I'm misguided on the whole process, then maybe he can show me where my error is. Because I don't know everything about the sanitary corp, and I don't know everything about the Sewage Facilities Act. I only know what I read, and when I saw this letter, I had a concern because it says notice of violation. That's the straight up, honest to God truth. Okay? Had I not received this letter, I would anticipate that there must not have been a problem further. It's only when you get the,
There has not been a problem.
you know, there's an old saying that the
Has not
squeaky
been a
wheel gets
problem.
the oil. And when there's a letter written and it's given to me to review, I have an obligation to review it on the township's behalf. I haven't written you any letters, and I think you know that.
Oh, I know you haven't, no. But the problem is all set with Dean Scholler, and I believe you're totally harassing me.
Well, you can address it with Barry, and then let Barry call me, okay? Because I personally can't tell whether you do or don't have a malfunctioning system. For all I know, it's working fine, but that's not for me to determine, okay? Who's next on the list?
We're gonna move on.
Go ahead.
Dick Finnegan,
No.
Donna Litzenberger, John Klepser.
Yeah, all I got's same deal 2 months ago. You guys put that ordinance in about mowing and stuff, and still hasn't anything been done.
John, which property is this that you're talking
There's several of them.
Okay.
There's a Lamb Warren one, there's, oh,
The other two places are down by the meat market.
Is this,
the meat market's
is
one.
this a height of grass stuff?
Oh my gosh, it's up, it's dead, it's,
Is it the one house that people moved out? The red brick house?
Red brick.
I think there's people moved out.
well,
Oh, they in there.
down there where this car park's in right here in town, in Queens. They mowed a little bit more, but they didn't mow a whole lot.
I think the way the ordinance reads is, you try to give them notice of the problem. If they don't take care of it, then you can go onto the property and mow it and build it against them. You
We
understand where I'm
we
coming
addressed this last year, 2 months ago I brought it
from? Yeah.
up.
Well, all I can say is, guys, go down, take a look at it, and take photos of the high grass, and if it still exists, then let's get a letter out that they're in violation of the nuisance ordinance, okay?
If you guys mow it, can they charge them for it?
What happens is, yeah, we file what's called a lien.
Right.
It'd be the township versus whomever the property owner is, and you file it in the courthouse, and then if they go to sell the property, it's attached to the property, it has to be paid off at the closing.
I think if we notify the owner, he'll probably get somebody around here to
Maybe so,
mow it.
yeah.
He did before.
Run down.
Yeah, I mean, that,
Yeah, he'll
You want me
go.
to check with him?
Yeah, if you
Yeah, I'll
can
check, because,
talk to him, he'll probably have somebody mow it.
yeah, he'll take care of it.
In all the municipalities that I've represented, thankfully, we've only had to do the actual lien for mowing one time. Okay, usually it got worked out, but that is in fact available under the ordinance, okay?
yeah.
Okay. Bring it.
Yeah, where do we stand on Vince and surveying the
I couldn't get ahold of
road?
Vince. I've left messages, so we're gonna have to send him a letter.
Why don't you fire him?
We just need to probably send him a letter in time. We need the paperwork here to get somebody else to finish it.
I know they were gonna send a letter a couple months ago or something, but
I called him and then he was supposed to be here at the next meeting. He didn't show up, so.
Vince has been sick.
Yeah, I know Vince has been pretty bad.
Yeah, he's sick right now.
Well,
We were up a couple, let me think here, last week, maybe Thursday night, get some more surveying up around there for the township.
Okay.
I think he has what he needs, if I understand. I'll speak for him because, I'm helping.
Okay.
Yeah, I work with him. We work, I think what we have to do now is we've located pretty much everything we need.
You understand Ray's concern with
Yeah,
this. We
well,
gotta
I
have that as
know,
the step.
he's been having to have a lot of health issues this year. In fact, he's going tomorrow to get a pacemaker. We were supposed to go to these people's house tonight. We have another job to do.
Right.
And he's been really sick.
If it can't get done, we understand that for health. Just
Okay.
Vince needs to understand
Yeah.
that we need
I know
the
it's been-
materials.
I know it's been a long
hire
time.
another person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
all.
That's fine. I'll be talking to him. I'll tell him about it. I told him we were gonna go tonight, and then when he couldn't work, I decided to come over here. So I'll tell him what's going on. I knew everybody was getting anxious.
Yeah.
You know, it's
it's-
understandable.
yeah.
I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah, we're sorry that he hasn't felt.
Yeah, he's
It's
had a lot of
just-
health issues
It's at
this
that
year.
point for the supervisor. You understand?
Yeah, oh yeah, I understand.
Roger Strayer.
Same problem. Making any headway?
Were we gonna send another letter? What's the status now?
No.
No.
Have you gone down and you've listened and there's been a problem continued, isn't that
You
right?
guys are supposed to go down and listen and take note and then report to Brad this
Yes.
month and then he went from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want you to go down to the property and make a note of, when you were there at the time and if these dogs are barking.
Okay.
And you keep a record of that, and if in fact he's in violation of the ordinance, we'll send him one further letter. If he doesn't fix the problem, I'll advise that you file the district magistrate case, or we'll go to the court of common pleas and seek an injunction, because enough's enough. We could file these magistrate cases till hell freezes over and not get satisfaction if the person won't
Yeah.
abide by the law. You understand where I'm
Yeah.
coming down to? Because it's really not an issue so much of, you're not trying to take somebody's money repeatedly. We want to
These
stop.
aren't issues that we should be fooling with.
That's right, you just want an order, and if he doesn't obey the order, then he has to get rid of the dogs. And we had it happen in Bedford Township, that's the very approach we had
Yeah.
to take. So it's the same thing. But I have to have something to go on
Yeah.
when I go into court.
I did talk to him about 3 weeks ago. He said he bought a,
That was before last meeting, because it's in
okay,
there.
I made note of it.
Yeah.
That was the last I've seen him. All right. Don Wickham,
I don't have none.
Eugene Harbaugh.
I understand that township wants to tar and chip the ridge road, and I want to know why.
It's out on bids because of all the surface cracks, the fatigue cracks in the blacktop. If we get another winter like we had last winter, they'll be buying a lot of blacktop. People seal their driveways for the same reason.
I know why people seal their driveways.
Yeah, not just to look good. I don't want a blacktop every couple of years.
No, you got 11 inches on top now. It needs taken care of. It needs sealed, so.
I can tell you that I can tell you that there's quite a few people on the ridge that is not, their set's one. Not in favor of blacktop, of tar and chipping. If you don't have, my opinion is if you don't have enough money to blacktop.
They had too heavy of plows.
Yeah,
When you're
but
plowing
it
with a
happens.
tandem, we don't have plows. like
Seal will
that.
stay.
I know, but it won't stay. My
Seal
husband worked
will.
for 33 years on there and it won't.
Walter Hall Estate, they did a good job on there, and they
Why
did
not,
Feathers
why not
Lane.
wait a
No.
year and blacktop the whole thing and do it
There's
right?
already about 11 inches of blacktop on that road.
That's why there's not a deep ditch.
Then have,
right?
What's that?
That's why there's such a deep ditch along the way.
Along the side?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Probably it should have been some stabilization done along the way when they were paving. But I'm not gonna go there.
No, I'm just saying.
I wasn't there when it happened.
Mhm.
But there comes a point in time where you need to do maintenance.
well.
Do you put a roof on a house when a roof needs painting?
I can see that this is, that what I'm going to say isn't going to get me anywhere, but.
No, you have the right to say that. Everybody has a right to their opinion.
You know, if there's already 11 inches, then And who's going to do the tar and chipping?
Whoever did,
Don't know yet.
we don't know yet. We didn't open the bid package.
Did all three of you agree to do it?
No,
2 did.
Okay.
I never did and I never will. It's like putting a Band-Aid over.
I agree.
It's like putting an inch of blacktop down when you need 3 or 4
If you
inches.
blacktop a
Then
road,
why don't you have, it, I don't know, how much it's
The
gonna
only
cost.
other choice is to go in and grind.
How often do you do it?
Yeah.
Les, how often do you do it?
Well, tar and chip, where there's a lot of traffic, you're gonna be doing it a lot quicker than you will, you're talking about.
So if you blacktop the road, it lasts how long?
Blacktop it, it's good for
When was our
8,
road
10,
blacktop?
12 years.
When was the last time?
When was
we
our
drove
road blacktop?
I'd have to look at the record,
Yeah, you know.
I can't remember
Been
when.
quite a while.
You remember, Bob?
So you're
It's
saying
been a good while.
what you're gonna do, you're gonna tar and chip it at
I'm
40
not.
some, no, well, it's about 40-some thousand dollars. Is that
No,
what it's gonna cost?
No.
What's it gonna
That's
cost?
what this road was here,
Okay,
that's gonna
what's-
cost
That was
more.
a double round.
Okay, well, what, as an estimate, what do you think it will
We're
cost?
gonna open the bids today. We'll know what it'll cost.
Well,
We
I,
have the bids from 2 contractors.
okay, and it'll last, what, 2 years, 3 maybe at the most? With the traffic.
If it lasts
You
that long.
don't realize how much traffic
No.
is
Last that long.
No.
It's not.
We're not looking at
I know.
stone, we're looking to seal
You seal the oil, it
You
doesn't,
seal it.
it wouldn't matter if
You
every
mean there
stone
won't
come
be
off
any loose
eventually.
shale?
it. Oh, well, definitely there will be.
Oh.
The idea is to
So the
seal the
loose
cracks
shale,
so water
the loose
doesn't
shale
go
will
through.
go off into the,
I can
into the ditch,
understand that.
into the ditch.
Then we'll have it sealed.
The loose shale is gonna go off into the ditch.
I know.
Okay?
It's
And
done, but it isn't paved, it doesn't, it's,
I'm wasting my time.
You seal the cracks so
I'm
you make
wasting
the
my
water.
time.
yeah,
You don't think nothing ever needs painted.
that's not it.
That, if I have something that
saying
needs
it to you
painted,
is-
if my blocks in my house need painted,
You
I buy
replace
paint and I paint them.
You'd replace them.
No, I paint them,
Okay.
okay?
That's why you seal the road.
what I'm saying is, I see
The oil is
the
what
cracks,
saves the road.
I see the cracks in the
Yeah.
road, but I also see, okay, how much traffic goes up and down that road.
You don't.
I know how much traffic.
If the oil is applied correctly, that traffic over that will not affect as long as the oil is applied properly.
And like you said, it'll last maybe 2 years, and then you're gonna have to put another 30 or 40
There's
into it
other,
again.
there's other
Why not
roads,
pave it?
there's other roads because we have other issues.
Well, I
We
know
don't want to
there is.
spend as much as we
I
can right
know.
away on one road.
Oh, I understand that, and I know there are other
There
roads in
other
the
roads.
township.
There's time when you have to do maintenance.
Well, I know that, Steve. I've been around it long enough to know.
I know,
30
you
some
work for a
years.
husband who's done a lot
That's
of it.
right,
Can I
and that's
say
why I know.
We, 24 years ago, all they did was tar and chip. We put over 100 ton of patching on it. First couple of years of Vernon and I was in, Bob wasn't in. But after we got it, we did what we could do. We didn't have no money. We did a half a mile or a mile blacktopping. We didn't have to go back. First thing you know, we had every road in the township blacktop. No tar and chip. Now all at once, everything's gonna be tar and chip.
Because
You're gonna be going back over it again.
You-
If
you
you put
never
an
know.
inch of blacktop on top,
Get out and walk
it's
those
gonna
roads.
last a long time.
An inch of blacktop doesn't cut
That's
it.
all we did.
You
That's all
didn't do
we did.
nothing. The contractors will tell you an inch of blacktop will
I know,
fall
Steve, you worked for
imperfections.
PennDOT too long, and
Well, I did some work. I did some of the work.
I know, and.
Well, we're just
I
here
know
to ask
from
you-
work, I don't believe
We're here
that.
to ask
I
you
don't
to
care who does.
reconsider. If you don't have the money to do it,
We got the money.
Nobody's had an issue about money.
Well,
We
that's
have
what
money,
she
but there's more than one road in the
Okay, I
township to worry about.
understand.
We have maintenance all over we have to
I
take care
know, I
of.
know
I
you have
understand
other
that.
roads.
Yes.
But what we're asking is.
There comes a
instead
time when you
of-
need to seal the cracks, not just lay more blacktop over the top just for the
Right.
sake of spending. We're not trying to spend money as fast as we can
I'm
spend
not
it.
asking you to. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to reconsider.
Why do you think every other state does this?
Because
It's a good process, or none of them, they wouldn't all keep doing it.
Well, some of the state roads don't
When
like
was
state,
that,
so if you
Bob?
got
We
a
went
trace
over-
back.
Well, they didn't
you
spend
know-
the right amount of
you-
money
you
for
know,
Carter
well,
Road.
but that's
Tar and
what's gonna
sealed some
happen
of them
here.
tracks and stuff, that
Pretty
really
sure
helped.
it was gonna happen.
Oh, it does. That's what I'm saying. Well, that's what we're doing
For a
now.
year, and
I mean, we're
next
basically
year
a
we
seal
have the
ball.
money to blacktop it like it should be
We
done.
have money in the kitty, we can pave it, that's what it is.
Les, the only thing that we're asking is if you don't have the money to do blacktop,
We
then-
got the money, we got
then
over
do-
$400,000.
and
It's right on your paper.
I mean, it's been quite a few years since ours was done, and we've
I
had a
know it's
good
been,
road.
I'm thinking 10 years.
Oh, it's more than
It's
10.
probably
See,
more
that,
than 10
that's
more
what you
than
get
10
out of a
years.
black job.
How
Yeah,
long has it been since Sun was in?
Sun's been out of office
It was
for
done
some
before
time.
Sun got out.
Oh,
So
my,
how long
yeah.
ago was
Oh,
that?
definitely, yeah.
And it's stayed
All we're
over
asking
somebody to
is to get a bid.
Get somebody to
As to-
grind up the pavement
to
that's already
grind
They
there.
up-
don't need to grind it up,
If
just
you
put an
need
inch
to-
of blacktop over top.
No,
Wherever the mountain
but-
road looked where we did that streak out through there, I mean, probably never need to touch that for 10 years.
It's cracking,
It's
but
been busted
wherever you
now.
look at it,
Yeah.
I mean, get out of the vehicle,
Oh, I know,
more.
I know,
Steve.
I know, right.
Do me a favor, on a nice sunny day, go up there and sit and watch how many cars go in at that golf course. They just, one right after the other in and out, and which is a lot of traffic on that
Yeah.
road, which wasn't there,
Right.
6, 8 years
That's
ago
right.
before they put that in.
And that
So I don't
road-
think it's gonna
And that
last.
road right now is holding up. I need a crack, that's all.
Yeah, and I don't think the tar and chip, I don't think it's gonna last. But you're gonna be back
not.
on it in a couple of years.
That seal's been on there for 3 years. Did it come off? No.
Not yet, but
No.
there's more traffic there now than what there was 3 years ago too.
That seal is still in the middle.
But it should be blacktopped and do the job right, and it'll last for the next 10 years.
And if you don't have enough to do the whole road, go to the top of the ridge.
Where does it not have enough?
Okay.
Now, where does that come
She's
from?
just,
Not
she's just
tarring
saying,
and
yeah,
chipping.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just said if you would get an estimate as to what it would cost to do it the
Just
other
let it
way.
go.
Suit yourself. You know, election time comes around too.
That's okay.
You know,
Next subject?
Shirley Harbaugh.
I've said my piece.
Okay. Tim Swindell.
Yeah, refresh my memory on this, this fellow, George Spinelli. I heard that name. Who is George Spinelli?
He's municipal services.
Where's that out of Bedford?
Holidays, Paul.
Aldiesburg. Municipal service. I like to have a talk with him too, then saying he thinks our roads are fine, you know. I like to see what he has, what the definition of good is, I guess. You know what I'm saying? You know, everybody, you know, 3 years now, you know, you guys just been scratching the same shell around, and you come up the other week and put a little bit in, you know, it's not, winter time, you guys do a hell of a job. Well, there's no complaints about it, but, you know, I figured by now, you know, people don't want tar and chip. I'd be proud, I'd be happy to try the tar and chip myself, you know, but we don't have macadam, so I can understand their point too. But I'd like to see us upgrade a little bit. You got a couple other jobs up here where you're gonna tar and chip. I assume those are already macadam roads too, I would think. Well, the Ridge Road, I know it is. I guess Picnic Road, I assume that's probably a macadam road too. But, you know, I just want to know, you know, since I've been coming to these meetings, I'm a pretty good, I like to keep an eye on money and stuff. And I can remember a couple years ago, 3 years or so ago, that amount of money for that ending balance was never over $250,000. So in the last 3 years since you took our road over, I see that jumped up $150,000. Now either someone's really good with money, or you guys have accumulated some since you took our road over. So I guess my question is, you know, if you're gonna make that kind of money, I thought you might be able to put a little bit back into it. Our road is starting to deteriorate a little bit. You guys were up, did some stuff to it. I understand that. That road is not near as good a shape as what it was when Johnny Clayton put it in 3 years ago. And I don't want to see it deteriorate to the place where then where a $30,000 or $40,000 job might become the big job, and then you'll keep putting it off, you know, maybe down the road. That's anything, you know, that I'm looking at. So that's really about all I have to say.
I've just seen you doing a lot of other stuff there. I just look at that. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna have a talk with that guy there myself. That's all I got to say.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
Barb Long?
Everybody's talking about the grass getting too high and tar and chip and all this, the roads. My question is, what about the people that's living on property that they're paying rent and there is no working system there, sewer system, because people can get sick from this. So if you don't have a working system, like at Lamborn's. And you know that was coming. I mean, how can that go on?
The case is pending.
Okay.
We're not going to discuss the case
I understand
while it's
that,
pending.
but is the place going to continue to be open to cause this problem?
I don't know what will happen in the future with the place because the township doesn't own it, okay?
Okay.
Obviously, you know that unfortunately, Mr. Wenzel
Yeah.
took his own life.
Yeah, that is
Okay?
very unfortunate. But
So-
he isn't the one that collected the money all those years off
Well,
that place.
that's neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned at this stage. We have a pending lawsuit. We're trying to address the issues, including with Mr. Wenzel's estate,
Yeah.
and that's all I'm going to comment on.
Then Dean Schuler, I guess my problem's with him because he never answered my complaint against the person that did the illegal repairs.
Well,
Because that's where my problem's always been
I'm not going
was
to
with the
address
Robert
whether there
Brewery.
is or isn't illegal repairs made, all right? I know there's a pending case, and the township clearly is addressing that case,
Well, let's hope so.
okay? I'm not going to discuss it further. I think you know that's going to be my stance, and that's the last time I'm going to answer that question.
Okay, fine. I'll go ask Dean Schuler. Again.
I don't represent Dean Schuler. I represent Kimmel Township.
Okay.
Okay, Deanna Ford. Brad Allison.
There is an issue. I brought it up the other night at the meeting. You guys weren't there when we were at the BCAM meeting. PennDOT has an internal policy, essentially, that in order to get a highway occupancy permit if you're developing property, okay, onto a state road, they want the township to be responsible for, in part at least, the developer's stormwater. There is no law to support that. There is no regulation to support that. We are looking at alternative measures to address that, okay? It may come up in Kimmel Township. I did see today a potential window of light on that issue. So we're hopeful that there may be a way to address it. If you guys remember, you adopted a stormwater management ordinance here, remember? And that ordinance deals with Bob's Creek and other places have Dunning's Creek. There is a document that's attached to that that already requires the developer to do stormwater control and maintenance.
Yeah.
We may be able to rectify this problem using the very thing that you've already had set in motion, okay? So stay tuned, I wanted to tell you that, all right? But given all the water we've all had this spring,
Yeah.
I don't believe it's a good idea for your township or any other township or borough that I represent to agree to take on stormwater of somebody else. Because that's a nightmare that we can't control necessarily. Beyond that, I would need an executive session for pending litigation matters. But beyond that, I don't have any other issue I'm aware of. Oh, yes, we do. I think I let Kathy, maybe she already addressed that. On the, is it the Randolph Allison subdivision? Did you already speak with them?
No.
I reviewed their subdivision plan. It looks fine with the exception that it needs a note put on it that to the extent they have right-of-ways or private roads, then we need the private road note on it that you have in your ordinance, that other people have to put on too. Otherwise, it looks fine.
And as far as that goes, we need a motion then?
To approve the contingent.
I think it was already approved, I think, but let's do
We
it
just
again.
have, I'll make the motion that we have that appendage added
Okay.
to the paperwork, and upon Brad's approval of said forms, then it's good to go.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
How do you guys vote?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll get a hold of them and tell them they have to get a hold of the lawyer, get a hold of their subdivider.
Or, yeah, or we can even give their surveyor the note.
Okay.
I can email it to them.
Okay.
You know, we'll essentially have the work done for them. They just need to get a sticker or to reprint the plan and take care of it, that's all.
Okay, all right,
Have that added to
Yeah,
it.
it's real simple.
okay.
Joyce Ritchie.
Well, you know what I'm here for,
Yeah.
and I can honestly say, there are several others on the Ridge Road that agree
Yeah.
with the rest of us. They are opposed to having this done. They couldn't be here tonight because they had other things that had to be taken care of. But there are several people that are very upset and against this.
We had one lady,
For that simple
not,
reason.
not to take anything away from that, but we had a lady 2 weeks ago stopped and asked Bobby, are you guys gonna tar and chip or seal coat Picnic Road? Bobby said, it looks like it, yes we are. She said, I was against it last year, but she said, I ran Walter Hollow and it did make it better for me to go up and down just for the fact the surface wasn't as slick. She said about going out early hours in the morning, back and forth several times a day. But now, like I said, that was one incident where one party did say
Well,
that they thought it helped.
One thing, like I said,
Yeah.
if this tar and chipping this sealing doesn't last but a year or two, then you're gonna be spending more money to do it again.
Yeah.
Where if you would pave it, it would last longer.
The main
That's my
concern is to
thing.
seal the cracks, to keep the
Well,
water
I
from
can
going in.
understand that.
But the box is a
To
problem.
freezing and holding.
Oh, I
The stone is
understand.
only put on there to get
I
across
know,
the
but
oil
I
so
don't
it
even want
dries.
to park my vehicle nowhere near a stone road. They just, and I ride motorcycle and I hate it.
I do too. I've had motorcycles all my life.
It's not me that you gotta work out for.
Yeah, it's the
It's
other
the
one.
person coming the other way
Oh,
that
yeah.
stones are flying and
Yeah.
everything.
Not everybody
Exactly.
has common sense.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Joyce.
You're welcome.
You don't understand that,
Is it
but I
Terry?
just kind of scribbled it in there. Tim Lutz with
Hey,
HX.
Tim.
Yes, I'm here for your annual insurance review, just to see if there's any changes that I need to make to your policy. In terms of, we insure your buildings, your equipment, your vehicles. We also carry your liability insurance, general liability insurance, auto, and public officials or errors and omissions coverage. And then we also carry your workers' compensation.
When have we had that reviewed or looked at last?
Every year.
Every year.
Every year he does.
And then there's a loss control guy that can come, he comes out every, I think, every other year where he physically goes out and looks
Is
at
there
I think he
any,
was
is there
just
any
here,
coverage
wasn't he?
that's
Yeah.
increased? Is there anything
He
that
was
Well, it
just
depends.
here.
Yeah,
The guy was just out and looked at everything.
looked at
just-
everything
yeah.
for us?
Well, it depends on if we make any changes, then we'll get back to Kathy with any kind of, you know.
We haven't
As
made
long as you
any
have the new
changes.
truck on
The
there.
new truck.
Yeah, the new trucks on
So there's no changes to any buildings.
there. No.
No.
And equipment, you still have your, you know, your tractor and everything, okay.
Yes. They picked up a new truck.
2014
winter.
Yep,
Ford
that's it.
F-550.
Yep,
Yes.
That's it.
Okay.
That's the only thing that's
And you
changed.
still have your pickup, Chevy pickup, and your Ford dump.
Yes.
Oh, you have the
No,
14, you have the 14 dump, not the other dump.
The 08 dump was traded or sold.
There's 6.
That's no longer with us, the 08.
06.
06,
06 dump, yeah, it's gone.
Okay.
just a
You
2014
just have the 2 vehicles.
in the Chevy pickup
Yeah, and the tractor.
tractor.
Yep.
And everything comes up October 5th, it's your effective date. And workers' compensation, also October 5th. That's with EMC. Everything else is with PERMA. You've probably heard of PERMA. It's the largest municipal pool in Pennsylvania. Handles your liability insurance as well. Like I said, general liability, auto, and public officials. And you have $10 million limits, very strong limits in case you need them. And when I pulled up tonight, I saw all the vehicles. I thought they're going to need the insurance. So there are your 3 coverages. We'll just get this one vehicle off. We won't make any changes.
Yeah, I think you're good.
That's-
You guys make the decision, but I think you're okay. He's got the truck on there.
Just one question for Tim. I've seen Tim here multiple times. And people, I've had this question asked at some meetings, well, if you have subdivision immunity, or political subdivision immunity, then why do you bother carrying those limits? And the best answer that I've been able to give supervisors is, look, Wouldn't you rather have the insurance in place on a major catastrophe than not to have appropriate insurance in place and take the risk?
There's even a better answer. That's in state court.
That's exactly right.
Federal court, sky's the limit.
That's exactly
So
right.
civil rights cases, things like that.
He hit it right on the
Yeah.
head.
So that's why I have.
I just want the public to know, because some people think, they get the misconception that we're protected from everything.
Yeah.
The township is not.
No, they're not. There's been some heavy cases out there, $10.1 million against a township. This was, I don't know, about 10 years ago, a while back. So you can get hit hard, especially errors and omissions. General liability, basically, that's going to stay in state.
Yeah.
But A&L, that could get into federal court. I need somebody's signature.
You're elected, I'm not.
Would you like to be?
No. One headache I don't need.
Thank you, and if you don't mind, I'm going to go get some fresh air.
See you in a year.
Yeah. Good seeing you.
See you, Tim.
Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay, at this point in time, we looked at the minutes for our last month's meeting. There is one correction on the minutes for last month. With the Act 13 money that came into play, Bobby made the motion that money would go towards our road work this summer.
Yeah.
And Les seconded that, and it was carried unanimously.
Ununanimous, yeah.
Yeah,
Last night, Steve seconded.
no, Les seconded.
Oh, sorry.
Other than that, I don't see any reason why. I'll make the motion to accept the minutes as they are. What do you guys want to second that motion on the floor?
What about treasure report? Minutes and the treasure report.
Minutes,
Okay.
bills, and treasure report, all three.
I'll second.
How do you guys vote?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Old business.
Are these yours or Lester's?
What do you got? That letter was a copy that I had.
Okay. I just want to make sure I wasn't taking his.
You can have it if you need it.
I think I have it in the file, but I
Okay.
don't want to take Jack's stuff.
Under old business.
Open the bids.
Probably would like to do the bids and see what's there. Hey, did we hear anything, Kathy, from Cottles or anybody about the stone up here where the roadway's gonna go?
I have the one bid, and this is not sealed bids, okay? This was just a quote price. This is what Bobby asked for, and this quote price came in the mail today. That's for up Boulder Hall, I guess, here, the road where the water ate.
That's from New Enterprise,
That is, just came today.
not Cottle.
I said, that was just New Enterprise. Cottles did not get back to me on any, on
Okay.
that.
Yes. That's up there when we put the pipe in at Billy Mossman's.
Yeah.
get no bids for tar and chip, Steve?
What's that?
You didn't get no bids for tar and chip yet?
Well, they have them over here. That's,
Do you think you had them last month?
well, we did, but there was a motion in place that we held them until this month
What was that?
because Les wasn't privileged to get all the information.
I wasn't even notified that they were doing it.
Well, Bobby done that last year when they tar and chip. You did too. You had that Bud's Sealing do one. We didn't even know about it. Cost $11,500.
$11,000.
Yeah, $11,500. Then Carl would have done the same thing.
That's new.
We didn't bring it up to vote.
You don't have to.
Well, you did last month. You refused them because Les didn't know about it.
That's only $11,000.
Only?
I got 19, you can go 19,001.
I thought all bids had to be approved by the supervisors.
No.
I thought all the supervisors had to know about it.
Generally, what happens is this, okay? Generally, before you go to, you make a motion for any bids at the township meeting.
They did.
Yeah, okay, so if it was at the township meeting, then apparently
But
there had to have been
it was brought up for Carl's New Enterprise, only 2 bids they got.
Okay, but there
Then he
had,
got Bud's do the one, cost over $11,000.
well, here's the thing, wait a second. You said it was, were you here as a township supervisor when it happened?
Yep.
All right, then you approved it, is that
No, I
right?
didn't. No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. It wasn't even brought up. You showed me in the minutes where it was brought up.
Kathy, did he not second the?
I approved for
to do the
Carl's
road? Yes.
to open the 2 bids, but who approved
Yes.
Bud's Sealing to do it? Nobody did that. You did it on your
Les.
own.
We
You didn't
let's
know
talk
about
about
it.
sealing
You talked
the
about
roads.
it, but you didn't bring it up to
We
me.
did it.
You
Well-
supposed- you never said you was gonna do it.
There's no sense to fight a pile of different issues. I've clearly said that when we're doing bidding, the motion has to be made at the meeting.
It was not
to
made.
do that. Well,
You showed me in the meeting, in the minutes where it was made.
Roger, I don't know whether it was or whether it wasn't, because I can't
No.
memorize meeting minutes from every.
I need
meeting.
quotes.
Okay?
2 bids.
I needed 3 quotes. That's all I needed.
You didn't say 3 quotes, you took 2 bids, you got 2 bids for the road tar and chip
Well,
job.
there's a difference between the bid requirement and quote requirement.
Yes.
Bid requirement is 18.5 and beyond. If the project's gonna cost.
So he can do whatever he wants under 18.5.
No, he can't. Okay?
He did last
But
year.
generally, what happens is.
Because I was a supervisor, I didn't know nothing about it.
Well, but I don't know whether you did or whether you didn't. If it
Show me the
happened-
minutes where it was,
If it
I
happened,
approved it, I
if
didn't
it
do
happened
that.
at a meeting and it was discussed and a motion was made and we approved it, I don't know. I'm not memorizing that stuff. All I can tell you is,
All I have is
if you're
this.
gonna go forward with even getting quotes, generally a motion has to be made and seconded that you get price.
You don't have them?
No, they were laying here on this table, Bobby.
I never thought I'd be putting anything in this.
They should have been laying in one of these brown envelopes like that.
Getting back to last month's meeting, they advertised it to do tar and chip, and I wasn't even notified. I didn't even know it was going
All I
on.
have is this.
So it wasn't legal, so we had to do it
But
over.
why are they doing this? So you had to wire it.
Les.
I understand that. The proper legal procedure is to make a motion at the meeting.
Maybe it was not made to do, but that's what I'm saying, why are they making decisions?
I understand your beef.
Now, you give it
I understand your beef. I've advised that it has to be done at the meeting.
So, now what can you do, because he
I'm not gonna get into debate.
Best thing to do is
Out of here.
go to bed.
But Bobby and I said we would talk about it here.
That's bull.
Besides, that's the way you want it. It should be hot mix. To do a pipe trench 60 feet long, it should be hot mix.
You mean that?
Do we have properly advertised bids?
Up there where we replaced that
Yes.
pipe.
If we can find it. They were in the
Where Billy
sealed,
Mussolini's
they were
for
in
Walter
the
Hall.
registered letter envelopes laying here on this table, and I don't
We
have
put
them.
60 feet of pipe in there.
Yeah,
But that pipe trench,
They weren't putting the safe.
this bigger stuff.
I don't
that's,
think so.
is it 25 millimeter? It'll be a little bit bigger.
Because I told you I'd let them lay
Won't be
there.
the
and
river
we
of
have
fine,
them.
it'll be the river. Yeah. That's them putting it down.
Like you get up there,
Yeah, up there at your place.
you have to do it.
Yeah.
So is somebody gonna show me the minutes last year where this was voted on?
That's
It's on
not
video
there.
too.
It's quote like we did up here on this rock job. This
They
rock
got,
job.
Carl was done right over the top of what Bud's did. So you wasted $11,500.
No.
You did the same road.
I miss meetings.
These are $11,000.
Okay, if you
They
think of the other
wouldn't, they
day, I
wouldn't
mean,
do US.
There's no proof of it now, because Carl's, they overlaid it. and it wasn't voted on by the supervisors. I was a supervisor, and I didn't vote on it.
They were laying here.
We
on the
voted for,
top, and they're
to
not
open the
there.
bids and call them.
What do they look like,
Doing two
Kathy?
bids.
Roger,
They're
you
in
paid the bill,
postal
if you voted to pay the bill, didn't you?
envelope.
That bill, that was, no. I voted to pay Connell's to do that, not Bud's audit, Bud's sealing or whatever it was.
They would have fell
I
out.
don't know what they did.
Roger, what month would it have been? Around?
September, they paid September 13th last year, and the others was in June or so. I got last year's notes out in the car.
Okay. Well, it's
3
on
months.
video too. I might have
It should
missed
be on
one or
video.
two. I might have
Connell's
missed
was
one or
65
two
cents.
meetings last year, but
Bottles and Grannis is 65 cents a foot. His was 50
Also.
cents a foot.
Man's didn't put a bid in last year for the tar and chip.
They're not in.
No, they didn't put a bid, they didn't put a bid
Can't
in.
open a bid.
But
We give a case like that.
I don't know where they're at, Bobby. They were right there in the,
Well,
in the postal sealed
What do you do,
envelope.
Brad?
They
well,
were-
you have to table them to open them next month pending finding. If you can, then you're gonna have to re-advertise.
I don't know. They were laying right there because I told
What's
you guys I was gonna let them lay there.
Oh,
table them till you find them.
Well, it might be an omen. If you can't find these bids, it may be an omen.
Hey, I know one supervisor that says I'm not doing nothing, they don't need something.
I'm just laying there because there's two subdivision paperwork.
Here's what we
Everything's
can't
laid
do
out.
so that everybody knows. They can't open these bids in between meetings without you guys present, okay? So, you'll either have to re-advertise them or wait till next month if they can't find them here tonight. That's just the way it is.
I don't know. They were laying right there on top of them Bill Walter subdivision and the Allison subdivision.
Wouldn't be in your car.
They're not in my car, no. This is the bid package right here. But the envelopes are not there with it.
Oh, that's right.
Well, on that note,
Is there any other business?
We gotta go into executive session.
is there any other old business other than the bids?
But we ain't gonna do no tar and chip.
I'd be like going old supervisor in another town. They don't need nothing.
See, that confers with answer.
There you go.
One old guy said, hell, he said, the place is good, they don't
That's
need
the first
nothing.
time I've ever seen a bid lost. And I've been going to meetings since 99.
First time, first time for
Now, you didn't tell me there ain't
Hey, everybody stand up and look at
Hey, I know one guy that don't have them. I don't have them.
Is there any other old business? Okay, let's move on to new business. New business.
We can't open the bids.
No. You can't open what you don't have. It's like trying to fix something that ain't broke.
You still?
Okay. No, there is no other new business. I'm gonna make a motion that we go into, what do you got, Bob?
Well, we're gonna, about New
Okay,
Enterprise,
you've got that bid for that pipe
New
trench,
Enterprise.
pipe we replaced.
New Enterprise doing this cross pipe up there.
Unless you looked at the paperwork, the bid for New Enterprise to do that
It's
pipe
a-
trench.
This is a quote, right? Because it's
Okay.
only
Yeah, it's a quote.
$1,882.70.
Okay, well then we need a form of a motion on the floor that we take care of that.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
You second.
Huh?
You second.
I'll second it. How do you guys vote?
Yes.
Yes, unanimous. That's done. Okay. At this point in time, I guess now we need to go into an executive session
For pending litigation.
for pending litigation matters. As soon as we finish up, we'll make an announcement. You folks are allowed to come back into resume our regular meeting.
Yeah, we can't, they're not
We can't
closing,
close.
they're
You
not
can't
closing
close.
the meeting. Afterwards, they have to come back in.
We have to come back into regular session and then we can close the meeting at that
We can
point.
find the bids until we come back.
Maybe you will, I don't know.
I need a motion to go into executive session.
I made the motion to go into executive session. How do you guys vote? Yes. Yep. We open the regular session. Is there anything else, I believe? Jimmy, did you have something or anything?
Not at this time.
Okay. Okay. Well, that being, is there anything else anybody else wants to talk about?
Can't find the bids. So they won't be open. Better tell the public that. I think that's why most of them stay.
We'll have to notify them if they want to come and get the bid, advertise it or whatever.
So we're gonna have to re-advertise.
There's only two ways you can do it. Well, there's three. One is, if you find them, you could you'd have to advertise it for a special meeting between now and your next month's meeting.
Right.
For that purpose of opening those bids.
Right.
Or, if you find them, just wait and open them up at the next meeting, because it's a sealed bid, you can't open it outside of a
Right.
Or, if you can't find them, then you're gonna have to re-advertise the whole thing. So, look, stuff happens. It is what it is. But that's the way the procedure is, because the public has the right to be here when you open bids.
Right.
So I don't have a bid, so I've never seen the bid. Kathy had seen them, but for some reason they're not there.
We had them here last meeting.
I know, this is
Yeah.
funny.
They're not on top of the safe, right?
They're not anywhere. I've opened the safe 3 times.
No, on
I've
top
looked-
of it.
No, they're not on top of the
Okay.
safe.
It is what it is. If they're found, watch the Gazette, and maybe we can try to put some type of a note on the outside of the building if they're gonna have a special building. But we have to advertise even a special meeting.
Right.
That's all I can say,
How long does that have to be?
Yeah, you
I
have
have
to
to
have it
advertise.
advertised at least 24 hours ahead. Okay, but we try to get farther.
I try to do
out.
72 hours. I try to do 3 days ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
Since you can't find the bids, would you consider thinking about what we said?
We can take it on consideration, yes.
To get a bid, to
To
see
get
what
a-
Yeah.
it costs to pay, difference in price.
Is there any fees to have somebody come in and give us a price? Do they charge us? Could George come in and give us a price?
George can do
Okay,
Okay. That's all we're asking.
we'll take it under consideration, yes.
Okay,
You know,
good.
to compare,
Yeah,
Just
you
see
know,
what-
because if it's not going to last, and Steve, you know how
Well,
much traffic is on our road.
the weather-
Maybe you don't live there.
yeah, I know.
You get a counter,
Yeah.
counter, and put it up there and see how much traffic goes up that
I
ridge road.
I realize where there's high ADT counts traffic. I've worked I-99 for 25 years.
I know, but what I'm saying is,
Pleasantville Mountain, there's a
if-
lot of traffic.
there's a lot.
But let me say something. When you have extreme weather conditions, it wouldn't matter what you put down. You're gonna have climate changes, extreme cold temperatures. The cracks that are in the road, water goes in, and this time of the year, it's no problem. In the wintertime, it freezes. When it freezes under the blacktop, it hose. Thus you have blacktop failure.
I understand, but all I'm asking is for you
Yeah.
to consider
Well,
getting a bid as to what it would cost.
we will.
To do it the other way.
We
and
will.
compare it, because,
We will.
you know, the tarring and chipping isn't going to last near as long as the blacktop.
What would you do, 1 inch?
What's that, to
What would you
pave?
do, a 1-inch cap?
No. I wouldn't recommend a 1-inch cap. There's other guys maybe would. An inch will fall whatever's on that road. If you have depressions, low places, when you put that 1 inch down, I'll guarantee you that depression is gonna be there after you put the 1 inch on. So,
If you're gonna at least get Mr. Spinelli to give an estimate of what he thinks it would,
Yeah.
because an estimate and a bid are two separate things.
Yeah.
He's not estimating it for purpose of getting business. He just does that as part of.
he
his
gives you a
job, okay?
ballpark.
So,
Then maybe he
You would,
Maybe.
you would table the opening of the.
Who is Mr. Spinelli?
He works for PennDOT over in Hollidaysburg, Municipal Services. He works with all the municipalities to determine road issues and so forth. You'd make a motion to table the opening of the bids for the sealant pending finding them and having Mr. Spinelli come out to give you the
An
estimate.
estimate.
Yeah,
Of his idea what the
Yeah.
price would be.
yeah. You can make that motion if you want. I'm not a supervisor. I'm just telling you that's an approach.
I'll make
Yeah.
that motion if you, to that extent there, that Brad said.
Motion to table the bids opening.
Until we find them.
Until we
And
find it.
or,
Okay, and to have Mr.
No, wait. If you're gonna get a bid on blacktop, you're gonna have to advertise that separate.
well, no, we're gonna get a price.
They're just
What
getting
it's
a price
gonna
off
cost
the
I just wanna get a
first.
Motion to table bids. Okay, motion to table opening the bids until you have George Spinelli come out and give a quote estimate on paving the Ridge Road. Correct?
So they said about milling and paving.
What do you mean by milling?
Well, they'll go in and grind the surface off and repave it. That's what you wanted, right?
Well, that would make a
Well,
better road smoothed off, correct?
Yeah.
You could do it both ways. You could just get an inch of blacktop over top, and not mill it. Whichever way you want to do it. I mean, there's gonna be a big difference in price
Mm-hmm.
when you mill it. Yeah.
What if I put both ways in it? 1 inch blacktop, milling and paving.
Just milling and blacktop, and then just blacktop.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 1 inch blacktop and milling and paving.
Now, you have to know how much you want to put down, like an inch.
Okay, you made a motion, Les.
Yeah, I made the motion, so I'll tell you what I'll put in it. An inch.
That's what I said, 1 inch of blacktop. Okay.
Now this, you have something in there in remarks too about if we find the other bids. We have to stipulate that as well.
You have to hold the bids until this comes in now. If You're
Yes.
making a motion to do this.
Yes,
Correct, Brad?
Yes.
yes.
That's what I have. We're holding the table in the bid opening until we have Mr. Spinelli come out and give us a quote, an estimate on 1 inch blacktop and/or milling and paving.
What do you do if you don't find the bids?
Well,
Then you start all over.
Over
That's what I'm
again.
saying. Do
You
you
start all over.
You only
You
got
pay for
15 days.
advertising and start all over.
I'd never do it no more this year.
No,
You only got 15 days.
that's right.
Not even 15 days.
I'm sorry, Bobby. I need a second. Nobody seconds.
You want to second that, Bob?
No.
Well, we gotta do something.
But I will get a price,
Yeah,
but I'm not gonna get second that motion.
okay.
I made a motion, so if we don't get a second, it'll die.
Well, we can't open packages that we don't have here, so we do have to table them until we find them or get other prices.
Yeah.
So, I'll second it. There's no other recourse. How do you guys vote?
Yes.
Bob?
No.
Steve?
You know, there isn't much of a choice. I second it, so I'm gonna have to say yes on it. There's no other recourse. We don't have the bids. So we'll probably end up long story short, we'll probably end up starting the whole process over again, maybe next year. Is there anything else?
Well, I want to make a motion to get bids on up here in Water Hollow, the rock is,
Yeah.
up there.
Bobby made a motion. We do have to take care of this problem up here,
I
rocking,
can't wait.
because next flood we have, we're gonna lose part of the road.
Is that what you're talking about here, Bobby? This 1,800 or what's this?
No.
Okay.
No.
You did take care of that, didn't you?
What's that?
Yes,
We did take care of that.
Yeah, as far as doing the pipe trench up there, we replaced that pipe. This is that rock job up here in Walter Hollow.
Oh, okay.
I think we've only got one
One
estimate,
quote.
one
What
quote
was the
price,
price on that? I did have it.
New Enterprise.
27, I think.
And that's the only one I had to give me a quote. I left Carlos know, I left,
What's our next step on that,
what's the other
advertise?
place?
Grants?
Grannis Brothers.
And nobody's got back to me, and that was 2.5 weeks.
I did see
You
it.
want to say, Bob, or you did say?
We,
I don't know.
we've only got one quote back. And we requested 3. But what's our next step then? Do we advertise?
You mean in
You have
terms
to
of?
put it out in bid.
Yeah, you have to put out.
Do we have to go out and bid?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
is,
it's over the amount.
how long does that gotta be advertised?
Well, if I get, you're gonna have to get George to write a quote package up, right?
Correct.
A bid
Yeah.
package.
Correct.
I think he'd give us a rough estimate before.
I can't remember the number of days without looking at the code.
You have to have it in the paper 10 days before the meeting.
Okay, yeah. I thought at least 10 days.
Yeah, so you get the bid package, we get it in, we can have it before next meeting, but till you get Georgia to get it advertised and everything, you have to advertise it 2 times, 5 days apart, I think, and then it has to be 10 days before the meeting.
Is that, are we,
That's what it's gonna have to be.
we're unanimous? We need to get Spinelli to give us a bid package?
Yep, you need a
Put
motion.
it together? You
Make a
okay with
motion.
that, Les?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion. We get a bid package put together by George Spinelli
Okay,
for Walter Hollow Road,
okay.
channel issue. How do you guys, I need a second. Bobby?
I'll second
Okay, how do you vote?
Yes.
it. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. As soon as you get that, Bobby, let me know, I'll get it in the paper.
All right.
It has to be advertised 2 different times, I think 3 or 5 days apart. Something like that.
What's that?
That's all I have on it.
You have anything else? Bob, you have anything else?
No.
Okay. I guess we need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Bobby? You
I'll
second?
second.
How do you guys guess?
Yes.
Yes.